morning. This is News for Your Sunday.
And good Sunday to you. I'm Pat Lawson-Muse. Good health is priceless. Nothing is more important. But maintaining good health takes effort, discipline, persistence, and oftentimes support and encouragement. Later this month, wellness will be celebrated at a big conference in Bowie, Maryland. And joining us this morning to give us all the details are Dr. Patricia Davidson, who is a cardiologist and internal medicine specialist at MedStar Washington Hospital Center. Gertie Hurley is CEO of a group called Taking Effective Action, Inc., and Pastor Michael Hall is senior pastor of New Beginnings Community Church in Bowie, Maryland. Welcome all of you to our program this morning. And Dr. Hurley, let's start with you. It's the third annual Wellness Day. Tell us what you planned this year.
Well, it's the third annual with Dr. Hall as a partner, but it's the 10-year anniversary for T doing this conference.
Okay.
And so what we have planned is lots of fun, lots of education, and you will not leave the same. And our theme is be a big game winner for good health, a football theme. And we have David Carter, former linebacker for NFL, will be there and telling his story about how it is to be a football player at a young age and all that you have to go to. And he had an old man's body, he said, at 23. And so he's going to be telling his story and helping people to be encouraged to be healthier. And Dr. Patricia Davidson, we have a panel discussion with an interdisciplinary approach on medicine and health, talking about what does it really take to be healthy.
That's a good question for you, Dr. Davidson. What does it take? We hear so much about changing our lifestyles, eating better, exercising, prayer, meditation, whatever your mental release is. But if you had to sum it up even more simply, what does it take?
There are three things you can do to prevent over 80% of the diseases that we die from, and that's stay thin, not smoke, and walk. And then you will not end up hypertensive, you won't end up with deep vein thrombosis and venous stasis and fatty liver and gallbladder disease and thyroid disease and diabetes and all of those things that afflict us because we gain weight and we don't eat properly and we don't walk, we don't stay thin, and we smoke, and then we end up with the cancer and the clogged arteries and all those things. So it's very simple. You just stay thin, walk, and don't smoke.
So can I just pick on that staying thin part a bit? Because everybody's not built the same and everybody can't be thin. Can you not be thin and be healthy?
That is possible if you've gained a significant amount of weight during your life and you're exercising, you can be a little bit healthier, but you have to recognize that you became that way because of how you were eating or how you were fed during your childhood. And we have to get away from the usual American diet, and the food industry recognizing that they have other choices that they can give us and charge us more money with those other choices, like using cauliflower instead of white potatoes and things like that. They're now into the act of trying to do healthier options. And so it's a matter of picking the right options. We have food deserts where people don't have any options, although now we know that farmers markets are going out to most of the communities where there are food deserts, especially in the District of Columbia. There's a whole organization that makes sure that there are farmers markets in all of the wards in the city. So we have options now. And so the reality of the fact is that we cannot eat the usual American diet of a whole lot of processed food, because most of that does lead us to diabetes and to cancers and high blood pressure. And so we have to get rid of the additives that they've given to us, the salt and the sugar and the caffeine and all of those things that make us eat more and drink more, and the unhealthy drinks that we have, the sugary drinks. And so if we eliminate the usual things that we eat in the American diet, we can usually be healthy.
Dr. Hall,
Yes.
Pastor Hall, she makes it sound so easy, doesn't she?
Oh, yes. It's easier said than done, but it can be done. We always teach at our church where we actually have committed to a theme, new beginnings where faith and fitness converge for the glory of God. And so therefore we look to the scriptures, and Hebrews 12:11 says, no discipline seems pleasant at the moment, but painful. But later on, however, it'll produce a desirable outcome. So it takes discipline. And it takes a course of instruction that leads to that discipline.
It's your church's third year partnering
Yes.
to sponsor this conference. What kind of response do you get among your members to this?
Well,
do they look forward to it?
They look forward to it because Dr. Hurley leads a monthly health forum, And we talk about nutrition, proper preparation of foods, diet and exercise, healthy lifestyle habits. And so this has become part of and it's progressively becoming part of the fabric and the DNA, if you will, of our church. Yes, and so there's an excitement, there's an interest, and with everything there's a challenge. But we meet the challenge with information, we meet the challenge with prayer, of course, and we meet the challenge with a commitment that we're going to stay the course on this to make it sustainable within our church and our community.
Okay, Wellness Day is what we're talking about this morning, coming up in just a couple of weeks, and we'll be right back after this. Welcome back. We're talking about Wellness Day this morning, how to be a big game winner for good health. And Gertie Hurley, one of the big highlights of your upcoming conference at New Beginnings Community Church will be a visit by David Carter, who is a former defensive end with the NFL, the Arizona Cardinals. He's coming to talk about how drastically he changed his eating habits and why he's now vegan. Tell us a little more about his story. It's pretty fascinating.
Yes, it is. He watched, what was it, Knives and Forks, or Forks and Knives or something. He watched that.
One of those movies.
One of those movies, and he and his wife watched it, and immediately he stopped. He started throwing away stuff out of the refrigerator, and he told his wife he was going to be vegan. She was already a vegetarian. And like most people, he had said, I guess to himself, I could never be vegan, but he became vegan, and he's become a spokesman for that lifestyle. And he taught other football players how you could eat healthy and train the way you have to train to do football and be a vegan. So that's what he goes around the country now talking to people about that.
And it wasn't just the movie, though. He had some health issues.
He had some health issues. He said that at 23, he had some old man problems. And so he was just falling apart at that age. And then he also explains how there are things that football players have to do that causes things to happen, and you really have to be in good shape to do that. And a lot of times after they retire, they're thinking that they're going to still be able to have the same shape, but they don't do the training anymore. So that's why he's stuck with being vegan.
Dr. Davidson, we know that illnesses like heart disease and hypertension and diabetes are at epidemic levels in the African American community. I've also been reading a lot about vegan diets and things like inflammation, which many people suffer from, and which causes a lot of other illnesses. But what is as a physician, what is your opinion about the vegan diet, and whether people would be much better off to give up eating animal products? I mean, do we have to go to that extreme to get those benefits?
Well, a plant-based diet is always the best diet in terms of the data, in terms of the decrease in the cancer and the heart attack and stroke rates. Everybody doesn't have to do that, because what's more important is that you have to be able to eat a diet that you will stick to. So it doesn't make sense to be vegan for 3 weeks and then run off to McDonald's.
You can't stick to it.
And pig out. That's right. In fact, I have several patients who actually put out thousands of dollars to go to courses in the country, the Pritikin diet, and the Duke has a course as well. And they come back after spending $6,000 and $7,000, $8,000 to immerse themselves in a vegan diet, and they can't maintain it. So that's a lot of money to waste to do that. So it has to be a diet that you're comfortable with. And so you need to be moving towards more of a plant-based diet. I always tell people you cannot eat an animal every time you eat and expect to have your arteries clean of cholesterol plaque. So you have to have meatless days. You have to try to do more of the low cholesterol animals. I always say the animals that fly and the animals that swim are the ones that are lowest in cholesterol if you take the skin off. And then the animals that walk on land and the animals that walk on the bottom of the ocean are highest in cholesterol. So you have to look at your cholesterol level and see if your liver is able to metabolize your cholesterol and all of the other cholesterol that you take in during your meal. And that will tell you whether you are safe in terms of keeping your arteries clean of cholesterol plaque. But you have to be comfortable with the diet, and you need to recognize that plants are the safest food. But if you have to do some animal products that just need to be low cholesterol, and you need to look at your cholesterol to see if your liver can tolerate the amount of animal products that you're taking.
Spoken like a true physician. Pastor Hall, one of the things you'll find plenty of in a lot of churches, at a lot of African American church dinners, is fried chicken.
Yes.
Although many more are of these dinners now feature baked chicken and more fruits and veggies. I would guess, though, hosting this conference at your church, though, has brought you to a heightened level and helped to re-educate and reorient your membership, and you're even incorporating healthier eating habits and lifestyles in your worship services.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, it's been part of a progressive movement since I partnered with Taking Effective Action and Dr. Hurley. It's been a movement in our church towards healthier lifestyle habits. We've done the things you mentioned. We've partnered with this with Dr. Hurley in the celebration of Life Wellness Day for the third year. We've incorporated in our worship services through our Family and Friends Sunday. We have a healthy lifestyle challenge. We have information given, and we even have an in-your-seat easy exercise to do. We even have...
That you do during church service?
Doing church service, actually doing the church service. And we also have the monthly health forum that Dr. Hurley leads as the director of our health ministry. And we have an inspiration cafe that we have once a month with Christ-centered type of performing arts and entertainment, if you will. And we've even transformed our menu in the cafe to healthy choices at a sacrifice and with some criticism, but we've done it because we're committed to this movement within our church, that we're going to be a church where faith and fitness converge for the glory of God.
Perfect place to take a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us as we continue talking about wellness. Welcome back. We're talking about Wellness Day coming up later this morning at New Beginnings Community Church in Bowie. Gertie Hurley, tell us about some of the screenings and some of your exhibits and sessions, some of the things that you have planned.
Well, we have BMIs being done. We have a blood pressure screening. We have liver screening. We have someone who's going to be doing some type of screening that helps you with posture and your bones. We'll have an Ask the Doctor, Ask the Nutritionist, and of course, like I said, we're having the panel talk about what it's really like to be healthy. What does it take to be healthy? And Dr.
Author's Row?
Author's Row, we'll have Author's Row, and we have one of the big features is there are going to be free samples of delicious vegan food.
You're laughing.
Yes.
Vegan food is very delicious.
It's very delicious, and I'm laughing because I was at Veggie Fest, I guess a week ago, and there were thousands of people lined up to eat vegan food. So it's really good, delicious.
Dr. Davidson, you're going to be one of the keynote speakers, and I know that you've on this program, the many times we've talked, you've talked about the importance of knowing your numbers, but I find that you probably can't repeat that often enough or too often because many people still don't know their numbers.
I would say the majority of people don't know the numbers based on who comes into my office, including diabetics that don't know what A1Cs are and don't know what LDLs are, and so you're supposed to know your LDL cholesterol, and it should be under 100 and ideally under 70. You're supposed to know that your blood pressure should be 120/80, and you're supposed to know that your body mass index should be under 25. If it's over that, you most likely will end up dying from your weight. And your A1C normal is 5.6, and when you get above that, you are in diabetic range, not pre-diabetic, diabetic range, but we don't treat you until your A1C gets to be 6.5. So there's no such thing as pre-diabetes. It's like the first trimester of pregnancy, and you know how that turns out. You are still diabetic, but we don't have to give you a pill. There's not pre-hypertension. We just don't treat you before you get to 140. So you still have the damage being done to your organs and your arteries when you are in those elevated ranges. And so if you change your lifestyle, you don't have to have pills. But that's an issue that you really can't tell people because they'll say, well, I'm only borderline and pre, so I didn't have to do anything about it. No, that's when you need to do something so you don't end up having to be treated. So you have to know those numbers because that's what keeps your arteries clean and your organs in place.
Reverend Hall, why, you talked a little bit about this, why events like this are so important to people in our community and in the African American church. Talk a little about, the change of the culture and why it takes incorporating this into your worship services to actually get people to incorporate it into their lifestyles.
Yes, because I think that when we think about what it means to be Christians and all of what that brings about as far as transformation of our lifestyle, and seeking the lost for Christ. I think everything begins in taking care of the engine that drives it all. In other words, our body. We often quote 1 Corinthians 6:19 and 20, saying that our body is a temple for God, the Holy Spirit, and we're to glorify God with our bodies. And so therefore, I believe that it's very appropriate to incorporate it within our worship service so we can understand that we need to take care of the engine that God intended to drive reaching the lost and having an increasing impact in our community, in our homes, and even in this nation. So we think it's an integral part of what we should be about in reaching the lost for Christ and taking care, again, our bodies in order to do that.
And Gertie, you're actually partnering with other churches. You're bringing them into this this program.
Movement, yes. And Cornerstone Ministries in Temple Hills, Maryland is one. And so we've taken the healthy soundbite there and the seated exercise and the healthy message. And what we also do, Dr. Hall did mention, is we also provide a healthy snack of an example of healthy food. And it's all been vegan. And they love it.
They love it. Yeah.
We should say you're vegan.
I'm a vegan.
Yeah.
And you've
I
been
call
for a long
myself
time?
Grandma Vegan.
And you've been for a long time.
Since 1999. Before that, I was a vegetarian. And it was a gradual movement, started in the 70s.
Did you do it because you had to?
Well, I did it because gradually doctors kept telling me, well, eat egg beaters or eat the white egg whites and stop. Then I think it was Dr. Davis that said, stop eating cheese or somebody. And I said, well, gee, I may as well, because then that's when I was a vegetarian. I said, well, and cold turkey, I just stopped.
Okay.
And it's made me feel better. It's just wonderful.
All right. We're going to continue our talk right after this. Stay with us. I'm glad.